Hi, and welcome to On the B-Side with BTS, a special tribute where we share real stories from ARMY across Australia. As we count down to BTS reuniting after their military service, this project celebrates the deep connections, life moments, and inspiration this group continues to bring. I'm your host, Birgit. Thanks so much for joining us. Hey ARMY, thanks so much for tuning in to another ARMY story. And yes, we have V in the house, but not that V. Nonetheless, an important V, which is an ARMY. And I say hello.
Hello.
Thanks for putting your hand up and being here and sharing your story. I'm sure it's an incredible one, like every other story I hear.
That's what I like so much about interacting with ARMY is everyone has such a unique story as to how like BTS found them, and it's very ever since I became an ARMY in 2014, I've never heard anyone just say, "Oh, I randomly heard them on shuffle and I decided to give more of their repertoire a listen," kind of thing. It's always when they needed them the most, that's when they were found.
Yeah. And that's kind of the fascinating thing about the whole thing. It's just how anyway, not a rabbit hole to go down to, but
Yeah.
maybe later on. We don't know. But you just said BTS usually finds ARMY, and that's the question I want to throw at you. How did the seven boys find you? What's your story?
Well, back as I said in 2014, I was quite sick, and one of the girls that I had met while not well, she actually showed me the War of Hormones music video, and I was like, "Who are these people?" I found it so adorable, obviously, because I'm a little bit older. I just found it adorable, and I was like, "Who are these guys?" Because I was very much in my grungy emo kind of phase
Okay.
back then. So I loved the aesthetic of the music video and the red jeans with suspenders and all that kind of stuff. So I was very intrigued by what I was watching. And yeah, just basically decided to keep watching it and my friend Yumi and I, we kind of bonded over that. She was Japanese, so she knew a lot more about them than I did, obviously, at that stage. And then, unfortunately, Yumi didn't get any better, but I did, and she ended up passing away.
Oh,
And so that was kind of the first time where I really clung to BTS as a way to come out the other side of the darkness. Music's always been a massive part of my life. I did musical theatre and singing assessments and stuff like that when I was younger. So music's always been an escape for me. So yeah, then finding and because I had dabbled a little bit into K-pop because I went to Japan in 2011 and they played a lot of K-pop in their clubs and stuff like that.
okay.
I was very interested as to how everyone knew what dance to do, and I was like, "What in the High School Musical is going on? Like everyone knows the choreography, but me. I have no idea what's happening." But yeah,
Oh,
and then as I said, fast forwarding to 2014, that's when I really started to, when Dark and Wild came out, that's when I was like, all right, I kind of really like these guys. And then throughout the years, they've kept me together. Um, when the Wings tour was happening, I was actually supposed to go to the Wings concert in Sydney. I had a ticket and everything like that. And then unfortunately, I lost my daughter. Um, so again, they kind of helped me through that. And there's, between obviously 2014 and now, there was unfortunately a lot of abuse, 7 pregnancies. And now I have my beautiful little boy. born in May last year, my little winter bear, and um, I basically played like their entire discography while I was in labor, just to keep me distracted. Um, Jump was a particular favorite of the nurses because it's like so OG boy band sounding. By the way, I'm so sorry if you can hear that toy in the background. One of my baby's toys just randomly started going off. Um,
That's okay. I can hardly hear it.
it happens. It's scary when it's in the middle of the night. Um, so yeah, and like the some of the people that I've met um throughout being in army have also helped, keep me together. Like some of my um greatest friends I've met through through being an army. And it sucks though because majority of them are in Sydney or Melbourne. But just how much they can bring people together has always really, really interested me. And then obviously watching them grow and their, progression in regards to what topics they sing about. From the very beginning, it was about, following your dreams and, how pressured the youth are in South Korea, and then girls, and then, growing through more of a physiological side of things. We're going into persona and all that kind of stuff. Like, music is an international language in and of itself. And the fact that, you can have a room full of people listening to the same song with the same lyrics and it all makes them feel something different has always really fascinated me.
Same.
Um, like you look at Tear, for example, a lot of people, find that to be like a really not upbeat, but like a really powerful song, and it is, but it's a really emotional song, and a lot of people don't realize that. Um, or maybe that's just, they feel more like frustration and anger when they hear that song, um, rather than like distraught or almost afraid. And yeah, I've always really enjoyed music, and I find just the world that we kind of got shoved into with BTS and Army, like it's like no other. And I can honestly say I would not be here today if they hadn't found me um when they did. So
I honestly am just trying to digest everything you said, especially like your own personal story. I mean, that's, yeah.
mm,
My brain is like, okay, I'm sort of trying
it's a
to.
lot.
It is a hell of a lot. And to see you sit here and actually smile and have your little winter bear and have BTS in
Mm,
your corner, it's just, I think that's incredible that in a way seven young men who probably have no idea who you are, who I am, they do
mm,
that. They do
yeah,
that. And I still have to think when you said the nurses liked, BTS too in the delivery room. I mean,
yeah,
that puts a little bit of a happier spin on things, I guess. But
yeah.
hats off to you for going through everything and still being here and being so passionate about also doing what you do for Army, if I may say so. You do organize events and everything. So
Yeah.
hats off to you. So obviously, I can see the importance of them to you.
Well, I feel like not necessarily that it's my job or my duty, but I feel like there's a sense of need to try and give back to the community who's given me so much. Um, which
Mm.
is a little bit difficult at times because unfortunately I am a single mum. But it's really nice that like I do have, my parents that are here to help. And so like they help with babysitting him if I do have events and different things like that, because they never want me to have to, you know, give up my BTS side of things,
Mm.
because they know how much it's helped me and how much this community, this family has helped me. So, yeah, it's been really cool to And then occasionally I'll bring him along, and it's been really really fun to watch because I've been doing it for I think since 2017. I've been doing events, and so you kind of grow with the
Mm,
community here, and everyone was so excited to meet him, and watching the interactions and different things like that, from a few years ago, they were complete strangers to me, and now they're some of the nearest and dearest to my heart. So
yeah.
it's been really cool.
And that's kind of a topic I did want to touch on, and you actually said it really nicely, so I don't even have to ask you anymore, like what part of being army means to you. You've answered that question, so don't even have to ask
Everything.
anymore, and all the events and
Everything.
everything.
Mm.
It's You've answered that, and that's what I found. And I'm baby army, like I'm literally not even out of the womb yet. I'm still kicking and screaming. I want to get out. But I found the few events that I've been to that it's just a whole atmosphere is so welcoming. You can just talk to
Mm.
anyone. And me as an
Mm.
introvert, that's, always a bit of a thing like,
Scary.
yeah,
Yeah.
once
Yeah.
I know or start talking to someone, it's better.
Mm.
But yeah,
Oh,
it's just
100%.
that
Well, that's
whole vibe.
I was the same. I remember a couple of years ago. 'Cause I'm autistic, so I get really unless I'm like hyper focused on something, I get really nervous and like social anxiety and everything like that. And I used to like, decorate the events and all this type of stuff. And then I used to sit in a corner and I would make my other admin be like front of house. Because I was like, oh my God, there's so many people, please don't talk to me. And then
Oh
like over the
no.
years, I just slowly, as I saw familiar faces and they were, coming up to me and saying hi and saying thank you and all this type of stuff, I was like, okay, this isn't so scary. Like this will be okay. And yeah, it really actually helped my social anxiety. So
Again, BTS and Army's magic.
it literally magic. Yeah.
Oh wow. I don't know. There's so many different things we could talk about BTS and everything. And I think one of the things that I hear a lot in my little corner with the little army that I do know, especially here in Australia, is like, when are they coming?
Yeah.
So, but again, that's a question we'll find out eventually. So,
Yeah. Well,
but
one thing that we definitely need to focus on, and like we have such an amazing team. They're mainly on Twitter, but we do also have them and they're on Instagram as well as within our BTS Australia group. There's absolutely an amazing team. Um, to like that's all about charting and streaming and all of this type of stuff. And as much as, you know, not a lot of people want to hear, that the statistics and the back ends and everything like that because it is quite analytical and it can be quite overwhelming. Numbers get tour dates, streaming numbers and purchasing numbers of like the albums and stuff like that. I know it's like slowly like growing, growing and growing in Australia, thank goodness. Um, but it's almost an extra pressure on us because unfortunately Australia is one of the most expensive places to tour. So, we've got to kind of we've got a lot of pressure on our backs sometimes as Aussie Army because it's like that much harder
hmm,
to get tour dates out here. Even some of the big artists don't come here, and if they do, it's Sydney or Melbourne, sometimes both. But a lot of the times they won't go to Perth. They won't come to Brisbane, So
hmm.
it's very hard.
Yeah, I
It's hard
noticed that
living on our little
too.
island.
And for me, coming from Europe originally, where
Mm,
when I grew up, there was literally tour after tour after tour in so many. I mean, Switzerland
mm,
obviously not so much. We got left out quite a lot too, so I know the feeling.
mm,
But yeah, I can imagine and I mean, at the end of the day, as much as BTS, it is a lot of business involved, you know.
100%.
Um,
Unfortunately, at the end of the day, Hybe is still a company that needs to make a profit.
Exactly.
which
So
sucks. But
it's
but at the
reality.
same time, I'm like, oh shucks, I have to go to Singapore to go to an August D concert. Dang. A little bit more on the bank, but
Yeah.
it's definitely a little bit more of an adventure.
Yeah.
Than popping down to Sydney. I would like it to be as cheap as popping down to Sydney. But
Sure.
yeah, it's just one of those things, unfortunately. And but it also just shows how much we're willing to do to go and see them because
Mm.
we have to travel. Like, obviously America gets so many dates. So a lot of the times we're traveling for 24 hours just to see them kind of thing. So it's like
Yeah.
we put in the hard yards, dang it.
Yeah. And I know there's probably there's quite a lot of army who can't even do that. Who don't get the
Yeah.
chance, who don't have, for whatever reason, they just can't make it.
Mm.
Which is a shame, but at least someone's going,
Yeah, and
representing
I do
Australia.
like the fact, 'cause, back in my day, online streaming concerts weren't a thing. So unfortunately it would be better to physically be there, but it's nice to see that they're trying to accommodate for army that can't be there
Yeah.
in person. I wish they would get rid of dynamic pricing, but that is a whole other topic. But
Oh God.
it's but it's just one of those things where it's like I always try to be, obviously because of everything, that I've gone through, I try to be appreciative of what I do have and what is is accessible to me.
Hmm.
Otherwise I will drown in the what ifs or the have nots. Um,
True.
so because it's yeah, as I said, you'll drown in it if you focus on it,
Yeah. True. Very true.
unfortunately.
Wow, I think we went steered a little bit off topic, but it's also important to talk about, I think, with someone
Yeah,
that's
oh,
been army for so long. It's nice to sort of
yeah,
hear it
I've been
as
around
you've been around the block once or
a
twice.
couple of times.
Wow. Again, your personal story is very inspiring in a way, knowing that, music, especially BTS, can really help. And I think, like you've mentioned several times, we all know it. We don't necessarily, yeah, we need to hear it because sometimes we do feel
Mm,
like we're alone. And then you talk to other army and you're like, huh, that one's gone through a similar thing and she's gone
mm,
through it. And you're like, oh, I'm actually not alone. And I think that's another reason why I kind of like BTS a lot. It's this.
mm,
Because a lot of times when you're down in the dumps and you're in this darkness, it's a lonely place.
100%. And it's very difficult to see the light when
Mm-hmm.
all you can see is darkness.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
And,
mean, they did speak about their own struggles, mental health, and then their own
mm.
doubts. And you wouldn't think that any of these, I call them boys, they're men now, sorry. These men,
It's a habit, yeah.
yeah, that they have like any issues, but it just shows that they're just
Mm.
human like you and I.
Mm.
You
And I
know,
feel like it's good that especially with the environment that they grew up in,
mm,
with people in South Korea talking about mental health and stuff like that. Well, again, when we were growing up, there was no such thing as
no.
depression, and um, I didn't get diagnosed with autism until I was 32. Um, so because that just didn't happen with girls, or we show a completely different set of symptoms,
Mm,
um, and all this type of stuff. But to have people like basically from the very beginning, I mean, No was one of their songs, speaking out against the government kind of thing. That wasn't done, especially not children, basically. They were,
mm,
some of them were children back then. You didn't go up against the government. You didn't tell them, hey, this is wrong. This is not okay. You just smiled and waved. And so, um, it's especially in men's spaces, it's always very important, I feel, to, have those role models where, it is okay and acceptable and normal to talk about your feelings, to be like, hey, you know what? I'm not good.
mm,
But I have these six brothers around me. they're going to make me okay. They're going to make sure I'm okay, kind of thing. And it's like
Mm.
and that's, again, the really good thing about Army is you're never lonely. You always have people you can reach out to. Whether or not it's, a post on Facebook to say, hey, I'm not doing good, or whether or not you have people that you can message. Like I just recently, we had to rush my baby to hospital. Um, and he had to have a procedure done, and it was quite scary. And some of the first people that I contacted, apart from my immediate family, were Army, because I was like,
Wow.
I am terrified. This was 1 a.m. and these guys still answered the phones. Like they were like, what do you need? What can I do to help? One of them lives on the Gold Coast and I'm in Brisbane, and they were like, I will drive to the hospital if you need me to. Like just say the word and I'll be there. And I was
Wow.
like, no, it's 1 a.m. You should be in bed. So like I thought you just see this in the morning kind of thing. And it's like, even though physically you feel lonely, you are never alone with Army.
Oh, we need tissues. That's the power of Army. Amazing.
Mhm.
I don't know what to expect when I come out of the womb.
Yeah, chaos. Expect chaos.
Chaos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just wait till they all get out of the military. It is game on. Like it
Oh
is going
my
to be
God.
anarchy. And
I
I
don't know.
can't wait.
I don't know if I'm ready for this. I might have to hide.
Oh, it's fantastic. Oh, especially
Oh,
in comeback season. Oh, you have no idea. It's going to be so much fun.
oh God.
We go mental.
Awesome. I'll make sure I'm preparing myself as much as I can. Or maybe I shouldn't and just go with the flow.
Be prepared for very little sleep because they love to just randomly drop like teasers to songs at like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. and you were like, this was not on the schedule. What are you doing to me?
Oh my God. Well, my phone's off during the night, so I have no problem of getting pinged. My sleep's
Oh,
important. I'm
you wake up and there's 1,000 messages.
yeah, and then my phone goes, I've had enough. Good night.
Fantastic.
Well, we're now talking about looking forward, obviously, to everybody being back together, all the seven members, and then us with
Mhm.
BTS. Now, if for any reason, any chance in the
Mhm.
universe that they spot this chat we're having,
Oh no.
and you could say one thing to them, what do you think that will be? I know, sorry, I'm putting you on the spot, but and I'm not making it easy with just one thing, I guess, but
Thank you.
just thank
Like,
you.
thank you. Thank you for, oh God, thank you for giving me my life back. Um,
Wow.
Thank you for um keeping me going. Um, One thing that unfortunately because I lost so many. By the way, you're gonna have to put a trigger warning on this episode because some of the things that I have mentioned could be very worrisome for some people.
Mm.
Um, because of unfortunately my body was not ready for pregnancy because of the amount of stress it was under. And I fully believe that they helped alleviate some of that stress, because I am the happiest when I'm dancing like a lunatic in my lounge room to their music. Jump is a bop, by the way, everyone. You're sleeping on it if you're not listening to it. You can't help but, and it's you can't. There's certain songs that you cannot help but be happy when you hear them. Jump, We On, and Stay are just you cannot help but be happy whenever you hear those songs. That it's great, but I started to do you know whenever I was feeling you know down and the darkness was overwhelming, I would start to get into the habit of putting on either like a concert on the TV or if I was in the middle of work, just putting on one of their songs and dancing in my living room to try and like shake it off kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I fully believe that that helped my body regulate the hormones better. And, um, they're constantly telling us in their lives to, to look after ourselves and all this type of stuff, and eat well and all this type of stuff. So, yeah, I think I would just kind of say to them, like, thank you, because, like I thought that there was no, like, I thought BTS had given me like the most amount of joy in my life until my son came along. And, you know, again, like they helped me get through labor, doing that by myself, was really scary. And so, you know, they keep me going. They keep me sane. And so
Mm.
do Army. So I would just like to say thank you.
Yeah, sometimes you kind of can't find the words. It's hard,
No,
isn't it? But yeah.
100%. Especially when it's like it's a feeling and you
Mm-hmm.
can't really describe it, or there's too many words to describe it.
Mm.
So
Yeah. Wow. Oh, goosebumps. I always have goosebumps.
yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And I am sure many, many other armies can relate and probably feel exactly what you're feeling, because that's the beauty of army. There's so many of us out there, and there's always new ones coming along as well. So, like myself. Um,
Yeah.
so yes, thank you so much for being so open and vulnerable and sharing it. I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, privilege. And obviously to any army that can relate, I'm happy to pass on any messages to V, if there are any. Otherwise, thanks for being here and listening and joining in the army stories that we all prepare in a way, because it's a joint effort here, not just myself.
Mm.
Yeah, and I'll be back with another episode. So thanks so much for tuning in. You all take care. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.